Okay, Assalamu alaikum sisters, it's Fahmeeda today with you. Thank you so much for joining me. So over the next upcoming days of Dhul Hijaah, we're going to be here every day, Sister Seeking Salam, and we're going to be covering a name every day, inshallah. So I'll start with the dua. Inna alhamdulillah, nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruhu, wa na'udhu billahi min shururi anfusina, wa min sayyiati a'malina. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. O my Lord, open my chest and ease my task for me, remove the impediment from my speech so that they may understand what I say. So today I'm going to be covering the name Aleem with you, and I want to start off asking you to share in the chat box what it means for you when somebody knows you. So what does it mean if someone knows you, and what do they need to know about you for you to consider them well acquainted with yourself? So we've got lots of messages from when I asked about the names, mashallah. So what does it mean? So Sister Fiona says, they need to know about my likes and dislikes. Sister Rosina says, all my strengths and weaknesses in my past experiences, I guess. Yep, that's right. I'm sure everything everyone shares, we can all resonate as sisters. We've all found that by sharing, we find out that we've got so many things in common, mashallah. So when somebody knows you, what does it take for them to know you? Like what do you consider them as knowing you? What do you equate with when somebody knows you? So for me, when in my life, Sister Lubna's just said, I accept me as me. Yep, so that was a big one for me. So Sister Fiona says they feel comfortable around you. That's right. So for me, when I consider that when I think that somebody knows me, to me in my whole life, I equated that with them understanding me. So understanding me was a really big prerequisite for my relationships. And understanding me meant that they understood who I am and what I'm about, and they understood my struggles and fears and disappointments. And I wanted them to know that I'm a good person, ultimately. So being understood was the biggest need for me in any relationship. And it was, the deal breaker for me, because it meant that this person, they loved me and they cared for me and they valued me. And so many times we've spoken about value and where our value lies in Sister Seeking Salam. So when somebody valued me, that meant that, my self-value, I had placed my self-value on being understood and valued by this person. So if I felt valued as a person, I felt seen and heard and appreciated by this person. But like we've mentioned in the past, that when you place your value on something exterior, it's a dangerous place to be, and it's an unstable place to be, because you're giving your value away to the outside world. So when somebody sees your value, you feel valued, and if they don't see your value, then you don't feel valued anymore. And without even realizing, when you feel valued by somebody, unconsciously your confidence grows, so you feel really confident then. But when they don't see your value, your confidence disappears then. So it's quite an unstable place to be in. So when I delved deeper into this issue of myself, I realized that it wasn't actually understanding that I was seeking, but rather I was seeking approval of others. And Sister Rokshanara last week, she talked about that seeking validation from others, and it really resonated with me, because when she said that, she wasn't actually people pleasing. She was trying to please herself. And that was with me as well. Like when I wanted people to understand me and to know that I'm a good person, really, I wanted people to feel pleased with me because I just wanted that, you know, feeling of pleasing people. So I had unconsciously developed this belief that I needed the validation of others. So I desired for others to understand me and think of me as a good person. And like I said, you know, this led to a lot of people pleasing because I was always having to, you know, prove myself to people. And along with the, you know, people pleasing also came a lot of resentment because naturally, you know, people are going to be very inconsistent in how they respond to you. You know, like the sister said the other day, like on their good day, you know, they'll value you and they'll be pleased with you. But when they're having a bad day, then, you know, they're not going to be there for you. That's not going to be available for you. So, you know, it led to a lot of misunderstandings in my relationships because, you know, like I said, like this was a prerequisite of my relationships, you know, to be understood. It was so important. But actually, when I had this filter, you know, the way I saw the world, that any slight sniff of somebody not understanding me, you know, I would outcast that person, and I, you know, struggle trusting people, and I would, you know, often take things personally and misread the situation. So ironically, actually led to a lot of misunderstandings, having this desire to be understood, this desire to be validated by others. And, you know, it was very, you know, habitual, and I wasn't aware at all that, you know, I was doing this. It was very unconscious, even though it was causing, you know, when I look back now, I didn't know, but it was causing a lot of misery in my life. But I can see, you know, it wasn't a good way to live. And I knew even then that something wasn't right. And I know now that, you know, I wasn't seeing Allah in my life. Rather, rather than focusing on our creator, I was focusing on the creation. I wanted them to, you know, boost me up, to you know, to recognize my value. And, you know, subhanAllah, it took me, you know, to reach rock bottom to realize that, you know, I realized I couldn't trust anyone. And in that moment, I felt like I couldn't even trust myself. And I remember calling out and thinking, then who can I trust? And in that moment, the answer came so resoundingly clear that I need to trust Allah. Even if I can't trust myself and I can't trust other people because other people are, you know, going to disappoint me on their bad days, then, you know, I can't trust myself because my intuition wasn't always going to be correct. I can trust Allah because He understands and He knows, and His name Aleem actually means the all-knowing. So when you think of Allah understanding you, what does that give you now? So what does it mean when, I asked you before, what does it mean when somebody knows you and when somebody understands you? You know, what that meant for you. But what does it mean when you look away from creation, but now you can look to the creator? What does it mean when He understands you? So if you sisters could share that in the chat box, that would be really good. Just catching up with the chats. They will care about me and want the best for me. They know you're good and bad, and you feel comfortable with them understanding. They know your struggles. So this is when people know and understand you. But what does it mean when Allah understands you and He knows you? What does this mean for you in your life? He knows the deepest parts of ourselves. Absolutely. I don't feel judged and feel secure and comfortable in His presence. SubhanAllah. Just talking about Allah understanding us, it brings so much comfort to us. SubhanAllah. He knows what's best for me, inshallah. So when Allah knows and understands us, it's comfort, it's peace, comfort. So it's so different to when we compare what it feels like when, you know, when humans understand us to when Allah understands us. He knows what's best for me and knows things about me that even I'm not aware of. Absolutely. So when we bring Allah into the equation and we put our complete trust in Him and we recognize that He knows us, then that's when our hearts find that peace. As we know in the Quran, that in the remembrance of Allah do the hearts find rest and we find security, and it frees us from the creation. So Al-Aleem means the all-knowing, the omnipotent, the omniscient, and Allah calls Himself Al-Aleem more than 150 occasions in the Quran. He's the one whose knowledge is complete and perfect. He knows the tiniest of all details, whether hidden or manifest. Al-Aleem comprehends everything with certainty. No knowledge is concealed from Him, and He is aware of all things before they take place. Subhanallah. So even before they take place, Allah knows about this. His knowledge is complete and all-encompassing. So Al-Aleem comes from the root Ain, Lam, and Mim, and it points to four main meanings. The first meaning is to have knowledge and be aware and certain. And the second meaning is to gather information. The third meaning means to have deep knowledge of minute details. And the fourth meaning is to act according to knowledge. And the root of Ain Lam Mim appears 854 times in the Quran and has 14 derived forms. So for example, we have ilm, which is knowledge, alima, which is to know, allama, to teach, and alimin, which is the worlds. So then how can we live by this name and inculcate this name into our lives? So the first way that we can live by this name, like I've mentioned, is to trust Allah, not to trust others or yourself. And by that, I mean, obviously you can humanly trust other people in your life, but the ultimate trust we should put in Allah, and we should only seek, full understanding and validation from Him, because He's our creator. He knows us better than anybody else. And because He has all knowledge of everything for us, He will only ever do what is best for us. And in Surah Baqarah, in ayah 216, and we all know this ayah, it says, perhaps you hate a thing and it is good for you, and perhaps you love a thing and it is bad for you, and Allah knows while you know not. So it's accepting that, the things that we consider to be bad in our life, we can only know that from a very limited lens, a very limited human lens. But when we put trust in Allah, we will, we will have full conviction that even in quote unquote the bad things in our life, actually there's good in it for us. So we shouldn't just, label things as good and as bad. Allah knows what's good for us, and whatever, He's designed our destiny with His, infinite knowledge and wisdom. So we should put our trust in Allah. So the second way, and this leads to the second way, is to accept the will of Allah. So whatever happens, when we know in our heart Allah knows best, we become content. So because, the good or the bad in this world, we content with what Allah has chosen for us. And true contentment is when we will choose what Allah has chosen for us. So even if we were given a choice in our life and all the things, the tests and the trials and difficulties, we'd go back and choose those things, because we'd know ultimately in Allah's plan, which is not just in this world, but for our hereafter, that this, this trial is good for us in ways that we can't even imagine, subhanAllah. So one of the ways that, one of the ways that we can actually ask Allah is through seeking His counsel, through istikhara. And I just want to share the dua with you. And when I read this dua, for whatever reason, whatever decision I'm taking, after I read it, alhamdulillah, it makes me feel so peaceful and so calm. So Jabir bin Abdullah said, the Prophet ﷺ used to teach us to seek Allah's counsel in all matters, as he used to teach us a surah from the Quran. He would say, when any one of you has an important matter to decide, let him pray 2 rakahs and then the obligatory prayer, and then say, O Allah, I seek the counsel of your knowledge, and I seek the help of your omnipotence, and I beseech you for your magnificent grace. Surely you are capable, and I am not. You know, and I know not, and you are the knower of the unseen. O Allah, if you know that this matter is good for me in my religion and in my life, and for my welfare in the life to come, then ordain it for me and make it easy for me, then bless me in it. And if you know that this matter is bad for me in my religion and in my life, and for my welfare in the life to come, then distance it from me and distance me from it, and ordain for me what is good, wherever it may be, and help me to be content with it. Whoever seeks the counsel of the Creator will not regret it, and whoever seeks the advice of the believers will feel confident about his decisions. Allah said in the Quran, and consult them in the affair, then when you have taken a decision, put your trust in Allah. So again, it's about putting our trust in Allah, and even the smallest of things in our life, involving Allah in those decisions, because admitting to ourselves that we don't know, just like in the istikhara dua that we say that Allah is the capable and I am not, and I don't know. So putting our hands up and admitting that we don't know, and Allah knows, immediately we can get the help of Allah, because we're surrendering our desires and decisions to the will of Allah. And this dua is really humbling, because it's acknowledging the weakness that we have in our knowledge and judgments, because often the judgments that we have are based on our whims and desires, and it's that lens of me. It's not clear, it's tainted with our ego, what we want for ourselves to feel good right in this moment. But Allah wants us to feel not just good just now, but good for the long run, for the for our hereafter as well. So it's giving back that illusion of control that we have back to Allah. So I've shared everything I wanted to for today on the name of Aleem. And if any sisters have any comments that you'd like to make, you're more than welcome to unmute yourself or share your reflections in the chat box. So Sister Saima said, he knows what's best for me and knows things about me that even I'm not aware of. So Sister Ruxanara, it means Allah is the controller, and he has a better plan. That's right. So Allah's plan is always better than our plan can ever be. So Dawood, so what I'll do is I will message on the group. Could you put the dua in the chat box? Which dua was that, sister? I haven't. The istikhara dua. Yes. So I'll put the istikhara dua, and I'll put the points of the 4 points of Al-Alim, the 4 main meanings, in the chat box. I'll put it in the WhatsApp group for later, inshallah. I'll do that. And we just, subhanallah, just a small point, that we reflecting on Allah's name Al-Alim just when it comes to us, just our relationships with people and our relationships with ourselves, and our shortcomings in seeking being understood by people. But Al-Alim encompasses everything. And there's an ayah in Surah Al-An'am, verse 59. I'm just going to read that to you. It says, he has the keys to the realm of the unseen, which none knows but he, and he knows what is on the land and in the sea, and there is not a leaf which falls that he does not know about, and there is not a grain in the darkness of the earth, or anything green or dry which has not become recorded in a clear book. So subhanallah, you can see that I've just reflected on Al-Alim in a very small area, but Allah knows every leaf that falls from the tree. Subhanallah. So Sister Lubna says, my reflection is about praying istikhara is such a huge blessing. This act lifts the pressure of me being responsible for getting the outcome. Absolutely. So what a beautiful gift from Allah that we have, that we can make this dua and ask Allah for his help, but the outcome we know lies with Allah. Or me, myself, and I lens is definitely tainted. We don't see beyond it. Absolutely. The name of Aleem really humbles you. We don't know anything and removes all egos. SubhanAllah. Absolutely. And it's so comforting, actually, like when we take ourselves out of it, like you feel that rest, that literal, peace in your heart, that when you think that I don't know, it's surrendering to Allah, that he knows and we don't know. SubhanAllah. So if there's no more reflections, I'm just going to end with a dua, inshallah. So, O Allah, Al-Aleem, we know nothing but what you teach us. Instill in us eagerness to learn, guide us to the best knowledge, increase our knowledge and make us benefit from it, and guide us to act upon our ilm by doing what pleases you and staying away from what displeases you. Make us contemplate ourselves and the creation around us, and assist us in accepting your decree at all times. Ameen. Jazakallah khair, sisters, for joining me today. And like I said, I'll put those messages up on the group. And if you've got any, I'm going to be opening the WhatsApp groups now. So if you have any reflections or any thoughts, please do share on that WhatsApp group, inshallah. So I'll end with the dua. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. Yes, and I'll share the recording as well. Jazakallah khair, sisters. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.